بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So this is the course introduction. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amal Muhammad. I'm associate professor in the department since 2007. And I got my PhD in 2006 from University of British Columbia in Canada. My office is in corridor 7, second floor, near campus, G223. Okay, and we're going to talk about the office hour. Okay, so at the beginning, we're going to go through the course syllabus. And I'm not sure if any of you attended any of my classes before, but for me, the course syllabus is just a contract between me and the students. So we need to agree on the contract before we move forward. So, so this is my information. This is the office phone number, and that's my email. So the office hour for the girls is going to be on Tuesdays, okay? Because the other one is going to be for boys. Okay, so for girls it's going to be on Tuesdays from 11 to 12, which is after this lecture. And I'm going to talk about some alternatives in case this time is not suitable for some of you. TA is not determined yet, so hopefully, I got the promise that by the end of this week we'll be assigned a TA, in which case I will update the syllabus accordingly. About the course description, basically this course provides the fundamentals and introduction about computer networks. So we're going to go through the network stack. We're going to go through all the layers. I'm going to define what network layer model means and what are the layers and so on. And then you will find that each chapter in the material covers a certain layer with some of the techniques and protocols and stuff related to this particular layer. So as part of this layered architecture, we're going to go through some techniques like some transmission technologies, some link layer protocols, like this is the lower layer protocols, and then we'll go up. The course starting from this year is bottom up, so it covers the layers, the bottom layers first, and then it goes up. In previous years, it was actually top down, so that's one major change in the material that we will talk about this year. Also, routing algorithms and protocols, transport layer, and application layer protocols. So we'll go up in the communication stack, starting from the physical layer all the way to the application layer. The material is actually the CCNA1 online material. This is the most important source of information for this course. And hopefully it's going to be the only source of information, and I'm going to talk about how we can do that. I will also give you the instruction on how to download the online material. So if you want to buy the textbook because you want to look at hard copy material, that's fine. But the online material contains everything. And you're going to be able to set up the material on your laptop and look at it whenever you want. Okay. These are some reference books, optional. If you already have these books from other courses or other means, feel free to refer to these courses because they are relevant to our course. In case you need more information or you need more details about some of the concepts and techniques that we talk about in class. Okay. The course objectives include, of course, introduction to the network reference model and layered models and stuff. We'll define what a network reference model is, basically dividing the network function into layers. And then we'll go through each layer. So we'll go through some of the layer-specific protocols like IP version 4, IP version 6, UDP, TCP, some of these protocols and how they are used. Network access concepts, which is the lower layers, routing and subnetting, and this is the most important part of the course, where we're gonna have exercises and some calculations. This is the only part that requires like some significant amount of calculations and things like that. Windowing and flow control, which is part of the transport layer like TCP and UDP, we will also cover it. This is the EBIT stuff. We don't have to go through it now. And this is the topics that we cover each week. So this week, hopefully, inshallah, we're going to cover chapter 1, which is only like a motivational chapter. It does not contain very heavy material. And then starting from next week, we're going to cover chapter 3. Chapter 2 is going to fully be covered in the lab because it's only like router device configuration and things like that. So we're not going to go through that in class. So it will be covered in the lab. And then starting from week 3, we're going to cover all these topics as we move forward. So feel free to interrupt me if you have any question. Okay, so this is the most important part regarding the assessment methods. So we're going to have 2 assignments like what we did last year. Unlike last year's, we're going to have 2 midterms instead of 1. Okay, 2 midterms. And of course, the percentage for the 2 midterms is significant. Each midterm is 20%. Okay. Quizzes, we're going to have frequent quizzes, like 10 quizzes, and I'm going to tell you why we have that many quizzes. But for now, think of it as not actually a formal quiz. It's just a quick test, just to know that you have actually done something. I will show you in a minute what that means. And then the final exam, which is I'm forced to make it 30%, not more than that, as per the university policy. Okay. So any comment about that?
For the 10 quizzes, are you taking them all in the mark, or are you going to?
That's a good question. Not all of it. Actually, in reality, we may have actually 12 quizzes, not just. So basically, every week we're going to have quiz. It's just a very short test. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes, really. But if you do what I will tell you in a minute, okay? If you do it, then it's going to take you a couple of minutes or 3 minutes. But I'm going to give you maybe like 5 to 10 minutes.
There's no project?
The project is part of the lab. So you will have to work in groups as part of the lab, and you're going to have an assignment in the lab to do like a complete network design and things like that. Okay? But this is not in the class. Is that good news or bad news? I don't know. But actually, we think of I'm the only one who's teaching this course this semester, and by default, I'm the coordinator of this course. So I interact with the lab lecturers a lot, and we usually try to make the lecture and the lab complementary to each other. So we don't want to repeat things as much as possible. Although you will find some overlap here and there, but we try to make things complementary as much as possible. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so that's the end of the syllabus. Basically, it's just a quick description of the course and what topics we are going to cover and the assessment methods. So, just a bit of history that in the last couple of years we used to teach the course using the material from Cisco version 4.0. And although Cisco had actually released 5.1 a couple of years back, we could not teach the new material, although it contains many of the recent technologies like cloud computing and IPv6 and so on and so forth. But we could not teach it because we had to get the approval from the curriculum committee and go through the proper channels. Especially last year, we had lots of complaints from students that they lost the luxury of being able to do the online Cisco exam at the end of the course and get the certificate, which they find it very useful, like what we used to do in the past. So in the past, we used to give the option, only an option, it's not mandatory, to students at the end of the course. They go through one online exam from Cisco, because we cover the whole material in class, right? So at the end, if you do one exam, you get the certificate, which otherwise you get in the Cisco Regional Academy, but you have to pay 2,500 riyal. So we give you that for free. And that was a big advantage for our students. But unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we couldn't do that because Cisco teaches 5.1 and we teach version 4. So lots of students have made complaints about that. They lost this luxury and they find it really beneficial and things like that. So they talked to Dr. Ayman, the program coordinator, computer engineering, and then we took it to the curriculum committee, and finally we got it approved. So that has an implication. So now we're teaching the new material. Of course, the new material has some new things and techniques which have not been covered in previous years. So pay attention to that. Don't look at the material from previous years. Okay, look at the online material 5.1. Also, it triggered us, and by us I mean myself, to teach the course in a different way. So how many of you have heard about flipped classes or flipped classroom? So this is a new method of teaching which is slightly different from what we are used to. So flipped classes depend on the fact that students, they get themselves familiar with the material before they come in class. Okay? And the way for us to do that is that I'm gonna post, it's actually on YouTube now, and I will just post the link today on YouTube, on Blackboard, to go to YouTube and watch the videos for next week. And I'll try to make this a habit that by Sunday or by the latest on Tuesday, you will have the clips for next week. I'm gonna do my best to make it at most in total 1 hour. So you're gonna have to watch 1 hour for all the material that will be covered next week. And actually, if you do a simple check on YouTube, you speed up the speed of the play a little bit, you will reduce that to 45 minutes. Which means that on the average, you're gonna have 3 clips, each one about 15 minutes. Okay, on the average. So you need to watch that before you come on Sunday. Okay, and when I tell you that, of course, I have to have some means to kind of enforce it. And that's why we have these 10 quizzes. So every week, we're gonna have a quick quiz at the beginning of the lecture, just for me to make sure that you have watched the video. Okay. Of course, you will slack here or there. You will miss maybe 1 week in the entire course, and that's why to answer the question that was put forward before, we have 2 of the quizzes that will be eliminated, and the rest are gonna count as part of the 15%. Okay, so on the average, you are allowed maybe 1 or 2 weeks during the course that you have some circumstances and you couldn't watch the video and stuff. That will be tolerated, but on the average, I expect you to watch these videos before you come in class on Sunday. So there are 2 means to enforce that. One is the quiz. We have to go through a quiz, quick test, just 3-4 small questions. And the other thing is that the class is not going to be a usual class. It's not going to be like one-way communication like what we're doing now. Of course, in the first week, we have to go the traditional way because you didn't have any chance to watch the videos before you come here. But starting next week, we're going to have to do that. So the class starting next week is going to be different. So I'm going to post some activities, okay, related to the material. Of course, I will briefly summarize the material quickly in the first 5-10 minutes. and then I'm gonna give you some activities. Okay, you're gonna have to work in pairs on these activities, and this will allow me to have constant interaction with the students to make sure that it's not a broadcast, and I have no means to know that that X or Y does not really understand the material. This will allow me to have interaction with the students. So the different groups, if I find like many groups are not really absorbing the concept, I will come back here and I will have like a white page, and I will explain the concept on the board, in which case, if needed, I will record it and I will post it as an extended material on YouTube. So we're gonna have before the lecture video recordings, and we're gonna have some recordings maybe during the lecture as part of the activities. So that's a new way of teaching the course that it's not my invention, by the way. It's many people have tried this even at QU, and I have consulted with many people before we actually do that. So I hope this is going to be a useful thing, because one thing that I have noticed is that when we have this one-way communication, I have no means of, or I have no way of figuring out whether some of the students, they really absorb the material or not. It's always me dumping the material in your brains, and there's no feedback to make sure that you have actually absorbed the material. So with that said, I really encourage participation. I really encourage participation in class. So this interaction will make sure that this happens efficiently. And I really encourage students to participate and ask questions and participate in the activities efficiently. So the class format is going to be class activities, explaining important concepts on the board here, or going through some exercises or maybe some commands if needed, just to show you or explain some important concepts. If needed as well, because I'm teaching all the groups this year, if needed and I find like one of the concepts is really hard, I may actually do an extra video offline to explain this particular concept and make this available to all groups. So this way we'll do our best to try to make sure that you get the idea of what we're talking about. The flipped classes has some implication on the students, so you are also expected to do some effort in being punctual in watching the video just over the weekend or so, just at your free time. Play it on your cell phone, on your laptop, on your tablets at home, and listen to the video clips before you come in class. Okay? I don't expect you to know something that we don't cover in class, or even if it's part of the material. So pay attention to that. In some cases, even in the video, I skip something in the online material. If I do that, I did that on purpose, and I don't expect you to know it. Okay? You're not expected to know this part of the material if we don't cover it, whether in the video or in class. The other way around, if we explain something that's not in the material, I expect you to know it, because everything is recorded. You don't have any justification. Everything is recorded, whether offline or as part of the activities. So I expect you to know it. In which case, tests, my tests are not surprise tests. So you will not have any questions from outside material that you are expected to look at that's not covered in class. It's not, everything is going to be in class, and in fact, in some of the exams that you will go through, I will try to pinpoint where, if you have done a mistake, you will have a pointer that will allow you to go in the material in a specific position and look at where you have actually the mistake. Any questions?
Right, so the tests are online?
Yes, so the quizzes are online. So I'll try to do the quizzes online, which is also another thing that I didn't do. At least some of my colleagues have done that before, but I didn't do it before. So because we have many frequent quizzes, and we have 3 groups, and we have, mashallah, so many students and stuff. So I will try to do it online. So as I said, it's very quick, like 3-4 questions, mainly multiple choice, or maybe you have to have like a keyword. So I'll describe things and ask you to put the keyword. And by the end of the week or something like this, after I review the exam, you're gonna have the results with some pointers where to look in the slides if you miss something. I know that, of course, you'll be allowed to use your cell phone or and I know that when you use that, and we lose some control and some material gets exchanged here or there, but we'll try to work around this and make sure that this does not happen, that nothing weird is going to happen yet. Okay. Any questions or comments? Next week we're going to have to make sure that the exam works fine on your cell phone or your laptop. I encourage you to bring your laptops or tablets. It's much better. But if for some reason you didn't bring it, you can use your cell phone, but make sure that it actually works. So at least next week, make sure that you have a tablet or laptop. And also you have a pen and paper just to go through the activities. Or if you like to draw things on your tablet, feel free, like what I'm doing now. It's up to you. Any questions?
But so the quizzes are every Sunday?
Every Sunday, true.
So
Yes.
we have one next week on Sunday?
Yes. Is that good news or bad news? So again, during this week, I actually posted the video clips online for next week. Okay. So during this week, at the latest by the weekend, try to watch the video, and on Sunday we can have the first quiz. Okay. Any other questions? This is the instructions on how to download the material. So you download it from the Cisco website. I actually give the material to Bishmas Muhammad to post it on the Cisco website, on the Regional Academy website last week, but it's not posted yet. So try to access the material by the end of this week. But actually the videos that you will go through is already part of the online material. So you will see the online material and the description or my narration on the material explaining things already on the online material. One thing to pay attention to is that the material works only on Firefox. I tried all other browsers, but they do not work. For some reasons, you will find some components are missing. So unfortunately, you will not be able to, even on your cell phone, you will not be able to see it. So it requires like Windows and Firefox. Okay? But the videos, of course, you can watch it on any device. Last year, I tried to upload the material itself on Blackboard, but because the file was too large, Blackboard rejected. So one idea that came to my mind last night is just maybe I should try it this year, maybe it works. So I'll try to do this today, and if I succeed, then I will remove this instruction and it will be as part of the course content. But I highly doubt, because of the large material, that it will allow me to upload everything on Blackboard. If not, then you can download it from the Cisco website.
This is online book.
Yes.
Is it available in the library?
Yes, there is a textbook. As I said, there is a textbook in the library. You are welcome to buy it, but it's not a must. You will find that the online material contains everything. And in fact, there is like animation. Actually, I was debating with myself whether to do the videos based on some PowerPoint presentations, which is related to the material, or on the online material itself. So after I prepared the PowerPoint presentations and I was going to go through it, I realized that the online material actually contains many useful videos and animations and stuff which I cannot replicate in the PowerPoint. So after I actually spent some effort on preparing the presentations, I decided to do the videos directly on the online material. With the only exception of this week, okay, because this week, as I said, we're gonna go the traditional way because you didn't have the videos beforehand. Any other questions? So regarding the office hour, as I said, the office hour is going to be on Tuesdays from 11 to 12. Of course, this will not be suitable for some of you, as every year. So we try to have some alternatives because as per the college policy now, it's female students are highly discouraged to come to the male campus and things like that. So when I say or by appointment, I'm not going to be able to come here every time one has a question. So if the whole class مثلا decides to, or some large group مثلا decides to have some questions, in which case we can have some appointment and I can come all the way to here based on your request. But it's not going to be based on 1 or 2 requests. It's not it's not going to be feasible. So instead, I try to have some alternatives for you. So of course, you can send your questions through email, and usually I'm responsive to emails. I also created a general discussion group on Blackboard. I encourage you to use that. So post your questions on the discussion Blackboard. Everyone has access to it. So even if I'm not available, someone else might be available and she can answer your question directly. But try to use clear language, clear English as much as possible. But Arabic is fine if you are not comfortable, writing clear English, so you can write in Arabic is fine. Any questions regarding that? So this is the syllabus briefly, and the description of the course and how we are planning to assess it. And I hope that if we follow exactly what we have discussed now, watch the videos on time, come to the class, and interact as much as possible, then we're going to have an enjoyable experience. And we're going to realize that there is some in-depth discussion and constant interaction with the instructor that we couldn't otherwise do if we use the traditional way. So we'll quickly cover the few slides of the first chapter. The first chapter talks about exploring the network. And as I said, it's just a motivational chapter. It's just to motivate the students to realize that this topic is important. And why is it important? Okay. So we're going to go through 4 different parts. The first part is how the network can allow us to be globally connected. Okay. What are the different components of the network in terms of LANs and WANs, and what is the difference between them? How is the network designed in terms of platform and components and devices and so on? And how this design changes the environment around us, and how it changes our lives. So we, as a trend, as we might notice, is that every few years we notice that the number of devices, and later on it's not going to be just devices, it's going to be things. And this term is very accurate. So we might have heard about Internet of Things. We notice that the number of devices every few years it does not increase, it doubles. Every 5 to 10 years it doubles. So this is a huge increase. And in year 2020, we're going to reach 50 billion things. And by things, I mean anything. I mean a table, I mean shirt, abaya, shanta, anything. Anything is going to be connected to the internet. This pen, your fridge at home, your radio, everything is going to be, anything is going to be connected to the internet. Anything is going to have an IP and connect and communicate on the internet. On any device, okay? So the trend is huge, and that opens the door for many emerging applications that we couldn't otherwise realize a few years back. Like, for example, Cisco telepresence, which allows people to have a roundtable meeting, even though these people are on another continent. But they look as if they are in the roundtable, and people can shake hands with them using VR and technologies and things like that, virtual reality. And they are geographically dispersed across different continents, but they are interacting as if they are local to each other. This, of course, requires so many sophisticated techniques and protocols that have to exist in place in the network to make this happen. So with that said, networks, they support the way we learn. So we have Blackboard, we have students are now able to take courses remotely. They can interact with the instructor on another country, and they can interact with them as if they are interacting face to face. They support the way we communicate through cell phones, through landlines, and so on. They support the way we work. So our work environment is not, it cannot be independent from using network one way or another. So they support even the way we play. So even games now are using the internet, and kids, they tend to use the network very often to play games and stuff. So the way that networks make this happen is through what we call a hierarchical architecture. So we start gradually. So we have like small networks that can cover like our small home. So our small house can use a small network which covers like few devices that are very close to each other. In which case the design of the network is simple. So you can connect these devices through cables and one router, and or a switch even. You don't even need a router in that case. So that's a simple design. But if you connect this small home with another house, or if you have a large office, then the design requires more sophistication. And if that office is in a building and you need to have a network that covers a building, then you have to have connectivity between the floors. So what types of technologies are you going to use, whether wireless or wired, and what cables are you going to use, what network devices are you going to use? That design has to be affected by how large your network is. And the largest thing, of course, is the internet, which is networks everything together. And for remote communication, now you have to have a service provider like Ooredoo or AT&T or Verizon that has to give you a service or broadband communication to be able to communicate to people on another country or another location. So the network or the internet from the application point of view, so we talked about the design of the network, whether it's a small network or large network, and we're going to give them some names in a minute. But from the application point of view, from our perspective as users, how does the network look like? Well, the network very frequently uses what we call client-server model or client-server architecture, in which case our applications are just a set of clients and some servers. And what is the difference between the two? Well, the client is always the entity that initiates the communication. It requests something, okay, and the server responds back with a service. It serves this request. So always the communication happens first from the client to request something, and then the server responds to that request using a service. Okay? So that's the model that existed decades for decades until very recently that started to change a little bit. So, so this client server as applications, so we connect from the physical point of view, we connect these machines, and some of these machines are clients, some of them are servers. And if the clients and server are existing in one local area, then we connect them using a switch. So this is the physical network that we form together. So we connect all these machines using a network device, which is in that case a switch. But some of these machines, they work as clients, and some of them, they work as server. Usually, you have few number of servers and many number of clients. That's typically what happens. So a server can serve potentially millions of clients. Okay? But it has a limitation, of course. It has a limitation and it has a drawback. Any centralized architecture, you know, it has the same disadvantage, that always the server or the central entity that serves all the clients, it always has a limitation, okay? And it acts as a single point of failure. So if that server is down, these clients cannot request anything because they always get the service from the server. Okay, so if the server is down, then everything is gone. This is a single point of failure. And also, it puts some limitation on the server, because the server, it can serve thousands or millions, but at the end, there is a limit. And that's why maybe it doesn't happen nowadays very often, but we used to have this, this error when we connect to some FTP servers. It tells that the server is busy, please connect later. Okay? Maybe nowadays, because of the data center and the hardware very cheap and processors are very sophisticated, you don't get this error many often, but it used to happen in the past. And servers are limited no matter how powerful they are. They are limited in the number of requests that they can serve. And that, again, puts some kind of limitation to the client-server model. Another simple client-server model is our browsers. When we open our browsers are actually client. When we say google.com, it requests the content of the google.com web page from a web server. Okay, so that's a client server. Also the email. We as users, we don't see these servers, but they exist somewhere. Okay, so when we request our emails from the email server that's hosted in ITS, we fetch our emails and we look at it one by one. Is that the only model on the internet? No. From the application point of view, we can have what we call peer-to-peer. Example of this is what? Does anyone know? Huh? No. BitTorrent. BitTorrent. You must have heard about BitTorrent. Yeah? BitTorrent. BitTorrent, Emule, eDonkey, all this software. This is just an application, a simple application that you can put on your laptop, and it makes your application a client and a server at the same time, simultaneously. So you can it asks you to have like a directory where you host some content, whether this content is like videos, audios, whatever. And it exposes this to everyone on the internet. So you'll be able to exchange files with anyone on the internet, not a server in that case. So you don't have a particular server that you have to go through. Anyone on the internet who has peer-to-peer application can act as your server instantaneously. You don't know. A request to watch a movie XYZ. Then you search on the internet and you find someone in China who has this file. So you connect peer-to-peer to that machine, and all of a sudden he becomes your server. He can ask another one about different content. So we all of us act as servers and all of us act as clients. There's no one who always initiates the communication and someone else who acts as a server only. No, all of us, we work as clients and servers. So what is the potential or what is the benefit of this architecture? Well, this is a distributed architecture. There is no single point of failure now. If the machine in China is down, I don't care. I can fetch it from any other machine. Okay, and seamlessly, the crawler will be able to show me all the machines that have this movie, and I'll be able to download it from anyone. And in fact, in some cases, it downloads it from all of them at the same time. So it speeds up the download. So I can have multiple servers and download pieces from each one, in which case I can download the movie in parallel, and I can download it very quickly. So the potential for this architecture is huge. Facebook uses a similar concept. Like anyone can put any content on your web page. Of course, anyone that you are friends to. But you can grow your friend network very large, in which case you can have many huge amount of content on your web page. Okay, so it uses the power of human beings. There is no centralized server. We use the power of us as human beings. Of course, the drawback of this is the distributed architectures always has problems, which is what? We lose control. Yeah, we lose control on things. When you host content on the server, you have full control on this content. Now, anyone can download anything from anyone on earth. You can download copyrighted material. You can download illegal content. Okay? And there's no way for legal organizations to pinpoint this, because it's distributed. Millions and millions of people act as servers. So it's very hard to track down where the problem is. So distributed architectures always has the issue of lack of control, versus centralized architectures always has the issue of single point of failure and limited number of resources, or limited resources that allows us to serve limited number of requests from clients. Okay? Okay, so we'll stop here.